Alright guys, Supreme Kami here, so gonna be doing the alteration review for the Gundam Fenice Liberta here. So before even jumping into any of those I do want to give you guys a quick comparison between the gears over here. So I have two different ones, one colored in green, one in like a orange yellow S colors. So what I mean by the different types of gears, so we have melee plus the 40% melee change gear. So if you guys do know, we have these types of gears over here that cater towards your shot. Basically it takes 40% of what your defensive stat is and then add that to your melee respectively to your shot. So that gear should be as follows. So this one over here, so the change gear, so 40%. Obviously in terms of the Liberta, I feel like it hurt the most just because of the fact that you guys can see that beam resistance and the physical resistance pretty much takes up the whole chunks compared to your regular melee defense and then shot defense. So in terms of the actual stat, it could be better, but I mean, like, honestly, who's gonna be able to pull the full set within an X amount of hardships and then actually making a full build out of this one? That's gonna be the biggest question, because this one is catering, you have the full build, then you can use this gear effectively. So this one is simply, just the 40% to your taking 40% of your melee defense, slap that on your actual attacks. Same thing for your shot as well. This one raise shot attack by 40% of your shot defense. Since this one is going to be a shooting base, and then you guys can see that the shot defense is not impressive whatsoever, so that's why it's going to grant you a lower stat than what you can see compared to the yellow column, this one over here. So this one, I use this gear in a comparison. So raises melee attack and shot attack by 35% of your total resistance. So pretty much takes your both, physical and beam, add them together, and then take 35% off that, and then add it onto here. So that's why you can see a substantial difference, because these two combined are just way too much. So, but in a realistic situation, I did only compare to the 40% in terms of just your regular sheet, spreadsheet over here, just to kind of make everything kind of even, more aligned in a way. So that's a little bit of a caveat that I do want to cover. In terms of the actual workout, there's a little bit of a caveat as well of the overall unit. So this unit does contain 4 separate vortex, a exclusive high firepower Gundam type, and then transformer. Transformer is definitely getting a huge buff from this overall unit. Also things to notice, this is going to be an S attribute, no link attribute activated possible, because this is the only Liberta we have in game, and this one is not a big scale. So those are some types of other factual stuff you guys should kind of know before summoning. And yes, this is I would kind of consider this one a little bit leaning toward a specific shot based build. There's not too much, let's say, universal boosting in a sense, but there's a few. There's definitely going to be a few handy dandy portrait that will allow your overall squad to perform better, either yourself or your overall squad. So definitely a very well designed portrait wise. So let's actually get started without any further ado. So head part over here, in terms of the color coding, I did have to put Penelope up top as well, because we are obviously gonna have to do the review for the Penelope sometime soon. But Penelope is gonna be on that orange yellow color, while the Liberta is gonna be on that green color. So just a little bit of a color coding for you guys. In terms of starting at the head part, you guys can see that it is gonna be it's not gonna be up top, because you guys can see, look at that. Yeah, resistance, they definitely did a very good job, but in terms of the actual like per shot, like shot defense, shot melee defense, no, it's pretty much non-existent. So that's why it does grant you a little bit of a lower stat than per usual. So, and then compared to the rest of the list, it's not that bad. I would have to say within the 7-star available currently, is pretty much within the middle ground, so it's not too terrible. So let's just take a look at the portrait. So okay, so in terms of the overall portrait, I believe this is actually our first time getting a double enemy power reduction on the head part, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think this is probably the first. It's not bad. First one is give you that EXQ power reduction. So if your enemy, I feel like this is definitely going to be very helpful in those story mission, because from time to time those enemy does cast the EXQ, and then you can definitely use this one and then reduce it, starting base at 20% and then 25% for the other one. So that's not too terrible, right? But I would definitely say EXQ is probably not the biggest factor, because most of the time you either get shot down or you would get melee down. So this one is cool. Just in that very off chance you do get strike for that, you can kind of get cover. On the other hand, in terms of the trait 2, we do have a enemy all power reduced by 45% at max, 25 starting base. So yeah, this is a very powerful, like overall composing them together. So definitely very good. But my only concern about this one is you're essentially forcing to have to run high firepower and then Ace exclusive. Ace exclusive, I'm fine with that, but high firepower, sometimes people may not run that. Sometimes people may run either, let's say, Gundam type and all that, so that could be a problem if you have to, kind of get those war tag kind of fixed and all that. But other than that, this is a very solid, just a very good defensive type head part trait, which I think we have not gotten all that much, so definitely a very good addition. So you can definitely throw this to any build you like. Either you want to throw this onto your main build, Li 1, 2, or 3. I think it's gonna work really well. It just allows for longevity wise, just being on those very long events, especially the story mission. They like to, not even the story mission, let's say those 3 missions, as you do get up to, let's say, chapter 20 or even 18, 19, all that, they hit hard. Even with my build in normal mode, I get wrecked. So having a few of these in your back pocket as your ally, definitely a very convenient way to just survive. So not bad, definitely a very good addition right there. So word tag wise, definitely does give you right there high firepower and then ace exclusive. So okay, not bad. Right, so moving over to the torso now. So gonna continue the trend of just not having any defensive side. That's cool. Right, torso, how are we doing? So gonna be in the middle of the pack once again. So not even making that 10k, which I think some of them has already. And this one not having big scale and link at you does hurt a little bit, because if you are going to throw this onto your main slot, for example, you're just not going to get that link at you with 6% all boosting and then 2% damage mitigation, which I think, in some sense it hurts. So I feel like overall in terms of Liberta, I would definitely sub-slot it, just so I don't so that I can have my main part have that 6% extra 6% in a way. So gonna be in the middle of the pack, so not too terrible. And this one, honestly, I really don't have much to say, because this one is based on EXQ. So in terms of like whether or not you want to alterate, invest in, etc., it usually depends on if you guys do have any better shot-based torso pieces already. Because like if you guys do look at the overall list, we have some pretty powerful one. Namely the former unicorn, packing that cut, which I should change that now to damage now, right? Still having some of those older languages, especially, which I should eventually change out. So this one is definitely really powerful. You have something like that. So it really depends. If you guys do want to invest into this one, in my honest opinion, I would not. Just because of the fact that this one is not really catering to a lot of people, because this one is going to be for like that specific mode, like arena mode, where you want to bust out those ridiculously high, either beam resistance or physical resistance. So that's that. I think this one, I can argue, is even a little bit higher compared to the last unit that we actually got in, like, double resistance that's good, was actually the Barbados. If we do a quick comparison, I believe they're nearly the same, so never mind. So yeah, I would say, yeah, nearly the same. So that's cool, right? But other than that, if you're just doing the regular play, the regular shot gear, you're not gonna benefit too much out of that. So and this one is ties into EXQ. So in terms of my own priority list, I would definitely not alterate this one. So last thing I do want to take a look at is like, what is it after, like, before alteration? Okay, I mean, B power is gonna hit fairly hard, so I mean, like, even without the alteration, you're gonna be fine. So alright, moving over to the arms. So arm part is actually quite good, because we do have a very good universal EXQ power boosting, so definitely up for that. So in terms of the melee aspect of it, so here's the melee stat, if you guys want to see. So it's gonna be 16,000, so it's not that bad if you consider melee plus the 40% shade skew, so that's not bad, pretty good. But I just didn't list it here because in terms of, let's say, the tag wise, not really centric toward a melee build, so I don't really want to add that on there. Once again, it is going to be in the middle of the pack, but the portrait wise is definitely a very solid one, no complaints. Double EX skill power boosting, so up to a 90% total. Should be starting out at 25, so even at like base EX or portrait level 1, you are gaining 55% EX skill power boosting or just EX skill boosting, so that's honestly really good. In terms of the trade up that you will need to kind of sacrifice is you are actually going to take shot attack, like you're going to take more shot attack from your enemy, 15% more, and same goes for your melee. So no, I don't think that will be a problem, especially since this is, you know, quote unquote shot based build. So I don't think you'll ever get sniped down by any melee attacks, so you should be fine. Shot attack, I really don't think so either. So the condition is not really too conducive in a way, just because I feel like most of the time you shouldn't be taking damage anyways. So it's overall pretty good. Double EX power boosting, especially in this caliber, definitely something we have not really experienced before. So definitely very good for sure. So tech-wise, some higher firepower and then Gundam size, so you can definitely make the argument you can put this on your melee build. It definitely does build for it. You do have some pretty high, like, oh, now looking at this, hold up, like the base melee attack is that high. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is definitely very good, even though you may not get too much out of it in terms of the conversion gear, but overall, if you're packing a raw 16% melee attack up, like, or melee stat, you're good. So no complaints on this arm. So if you guys do have the arm, this could be something that you might want to prioritize into a bulk build situation. Slap this onto melee build, slap this onto shot build, however you want to do it. It's gonna work really good either way. All right, moving over to the leg portion now. So we do have a leg EX2, same naming as the standard version, so like the standard Fenice. So this one is going to be the Meteor Hopper. So they did actually sacrifice a lot of power in this one. They actually did bump it up in terms of the piercing to an A power. So I don't think they're not equally the same. I feel like piercing really doesn't do that much in a sense, so that kind of hurts, you know. That really hurts. But in terms of the other additional effects, it is going to raise your speed of your squad by 20%, so that's pretty standard. Raises shot attack of your squad by 49%, so that's good. And then also raises burning capacity of your squad by 50%. Is that the highest capacity increase we have ever seen? Because the highest I've seen so far was like a 25%, so this is definitely top the roof for sure. And this one is going to be a bindable EX skill, so okay. That's pretty much all we need to know in terms of the EX skill. I have seen the actual EX skill animation, and it does transform yourself into a bicycle or your bike, however you want to call it. So the whole suit itself can actually, it does not need like an additional extensional unit or whatever. It can just straight up transform into a bike at will, so that's cool. I think the next question people might ask is like, oh, if I only have this leg EX skill and I don't have the full set, would it still transform into is literally the bicycle mode? It is. You can definitely, so if you have the leg EX skill, you can just use that and it will still transform into a bike despite not having any part, for example, because this one literally just ships into it. It doesn't really matter if you don't have any of the other corresponding part, if you will. So basically it's just going to change model into the bicycle and call it a day. So after you finish with the actual EX skill, you would just revert back to whatever build you're looking at. So this one is a very or exactly the same situation as the Start Winning Gundam Build Project backpack. So that one transformed into that ST core booster or that core fighter, and you might have like a big 1-to-100 scale build, but once you click on that EX skill, you just transform into that small tiny plane. So same goes with this one. So I mean, like, it's kind of janky, you know. You have like a big old build and then suddenly you transform into that bicycle. It doesn't make sense in a game sense or lore sense in a way, but they gotta do what they gotta do, right? So that's that. So looking at the stat now, we don't even see it. Like, just looking at this one now, you don't even see it, but it's actually down here. So yeah. Yeah, it's kind of bad, honestly. So stat wise on this one, yeah, definitely the overall, like, the actual raw stat is good. It's just the defense is not there. So, but yeah, if you want to say, do you want to alterate this one? Let me see, what is it prior to alteration? I will say you don't need to, just because B plus power on a cutscene, like that 120-second screw down, you will be hitting hard, right? There's no doubt about that. But it's either do you want to use the leg? Um, I mean, like, you definitely can in a way. This one I'll just find it to be a sub slot buddy, just for a sub slot, bonus or whatever. There's not really much you can actually sub slot to, right? You wouldn't sub slot this one to the new Gundam because this one is not big scale, or whoops, we're looking at the wrong one. You wouldn't even do that because the word tag not really all that matching. You match one, but since you're sub slotting a, what is it, a regular scale to regular scale, you're not gonna get any scale differences. So I feel like this one doesn't really have too much utility in terms of the stat department. Obviously the EXQ is pretty much fine and alterated. So this one is definitely up to you guys, in terms of my opinion. Whether or not you want to hit harder, you want to use it for the actual build itself, like physically upgrading it to 7-star to actually use it. That's definitely gonna be on you guys. But my opinion, not really, just because the stat wise doesn't really hurt in a sense. I would rather take something that has double 40% trait already, or maybe if you guys are able to look out on the new Gundam leg, I'll definitely use that over this one. And yeah, it's just the option. We just have the option nowadays that I feel like if you guys just wait, or maybe just save up some other means to get the billet eggs, definitely spend your upgrading material on those instead of this one. But if you simply just want to alterate it for the EXT damage output increase, I'm like, it's not really that big of a difference in a sense. So I'd rather have you guys save your L badges for some actually good part that has good part rate instead, and that will probably be more beneficial. Alright, jumping into the back part now, which is probably, if not one of the best part in the overall set. I think you guys can definitely argue that, but I cried when I saw this, right? This is actually the only part that has the normal conversion rate, so you guys can see that. In terms of the backpack, it actually does give it a proper defensive stat, so that's good. So in terms of the beam resistant and physical resistant, it's pretty much non-existent. So yeah, they made this part the strongest part of the set, and yeah, this part trait definitely a very, very good combo. But on the other hand, it's gonna be really hard to use it because you do have to force yourself to run Transformer, which is obviously not a very mainstream like word tag. So if you guys do want to force this one, you definitely can. I mean, you guys can definitely make it work, but at the end of the day, is it really gonna work your effort, your let's say resources? It depends. Because reason being, I say that in terms of the back part, this is actually, if I recall, like, looking at all the back parts specifically, this is actually our first time getting a really good buff EXQ effects plus an actual usable part rate as a secondary one over here. 40% is honestly the highest one that we have for the buff, like the buff tray over here. So this is definitely extremely good, right? That part is good, no complaints about that. But this one over here, Transformer, really hurts in terms of what kind of build you can kind of categorize this one in. You can technically only throw this onto a quote-unquote melee build because this one actually just builds it for melee, 5% to melee attacks, but you do actually gain a 10% shot defense. But in terms of when they actually do calculate that percentage for the actual word tag, it is calculated after everything has been settled in, right? So let's say you have set all your gears, like your torso gear, left and right arm gears, your left and right leg gears, then that's when you apply that. So let's say if you're talking about that conversion gear, right, your shot plus the 40% shot change gear, that is not gonna proctor in that 10%, so it's not really that good if you think about that. So you might think, oh, it's getting a 10% boosting, so that can potentially help out the conversion rate for this one. Nope, sorry, it doesn't work like that. In terms of how the calculation works. So yeah, but if you guys are able to force out a Transformer tag onto your shop build, I think you guys are probably in business to building one of the most strongest unit, because this one is having that damage trait right there. This is good, and this one is a squad, so you can technically throw this on any build, like your main build, ally 1 or 2, and have Transformer, and you can get everyone to benefit from this. So this is just a pretty nuts part in total. So if you guys do have the back part, definitely see if you guys can make that work. If not, that's definitely fine. It's definitely not for everyone, right? But it's just the sheer value of this backpack is just unbelievable, man. Whew. It's just unfortunate they decided to lock this to a Transformable tag, but it is kind of whatever. So All right, moving over to your melee weaponries over here. So let's see what we have. Melee weaponry, we are going to be looking at the following stat. 3,715 is not too bad. Just definitely a little bit ways behind from the main roster over here, but it's not too bad. So let's take a look at the portrait and see what's going on. So this one, first portrait, is only going to be for your legs. So any of your other places is not getting that EXQ power boosted by 50%, which does kind of hurt a little bit. In terms of, let's say, the secondary portrait, when middle shooter job license activated, you are getting an all enemies EXQ damage up by 40%. Wow, that's crazy. They pack a second portrait that's is a squad boosting. Whoosh, I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, they definitely make the Liberta really strong in terms of portrait. And for those that are still confused to this day, this is actually you doing additional. You basically doing that damage to your opponent. So it's not your opponent gaining that 25% or maxing out at 40%. So if you still do not know, like your friends or your friends or family know that this is actually a you're doing the extra damage, not your opponents. So keep that in mind. And this one is a squad. I don't know why they didn't add that as a squad language. So okay, but yeah, I have tested this out myself, and yeah, you definitely do get that boosting as the ally, and yeah, it's really strong. So two parts have that. Wow, yeah, beam saber is good as well, but on the other hand, it's only as good as like you think it is, because this one is only locked into a leg part, which like I wish my other EXQ can benefit from that. Middle shooter job license, not the worst case scenario on a shooting build, but this one does kind of classify as quote unquote only for shooting base only, so that's that. Alright, so moving over to the ranged weapon, which we have 3. Yeah, they definitely slap everything on here. Like they're like, let me throw in the regular buster rifle, the handgun, and then the buster rifle combined, everything. Oh my gosh. So let's see. So let's take a look at the buster rifle first and see what is cooking here. Stat wise, it's not too terrible, but not too good. So let's see what the portrait has for us here. Okay, all right, they are continuing to hammer us down with those damage plus 40%. So that's definitely good to see. And then oh wow, another squad support trait, and we'll definitely take those. Okay. That is a very good. So squad shooting power boosted by 40%. Definitely love to see that. Your shot at, in order to activate that, your own build does have to have 20,000 shot attack, which I think it should be a really easy thing to do in a way, right? Yeah, that should be easy to fulfill. First white trait, no complaints. Ace System definitely going to be a main tag that you will activate on a shooting build. So definitely really powerful. 14 or 17,000 right there. Okay. High firepower, and then ace exclusives. Okay, cool. All right, so take a look at the handgun. So it's gonna be the same exact stat as the buster rifle itself. So this one, okay, love to see that. This one is a squad. They pack a double initial squad charge. So this is similarly to the initial EXP charge, but this one is a squad version. So I'm pretty sure you guys are very familiar with this portrait already. Condition wise is not the worst case scenario, but in terms of this one, if you're rocking axle drop, which is actually a blade category itself, guess what? You're not gonna be able to trigger that. So I'll definitely say if your main build is actually using axle drop as a main EX skill, I'll definitely toss this into any of your ally that is, you know, forced to run saber category, and then you'll be able to proctor that. So it's not bad. 36% in total. What is it at base? 8%, so 16%. A good range would be a 25%. Since I don't really know what's going to be the progression for this one over here. So assuming trait portrait level 2 is like a 9%, so you're up to 18%. And then if trait number 3 is like 9 or 10%, you're looking at 20%. And then I would definitely say if you are able to get this one up to at least portrait 4 or 5, then you should be able to activate up to that 25%. So any of your EX skill at that point in time should be able to activate no problem. Like at the start of the battle, they will instantly be usable. So it's not that bad, right? As a supporting ally role, that's definitely very good. So if you guys need this utility, I would definitely say the handgun is definitely the job for you guys. It will definitely take care of the job. But yeah. Not bad. All right, so looking at the Buster Rifle Custom, and this one does actually have a little bit of a higher base shot attack, and armor wise, how many times that increased by? So this one is 25, and then this one is 9,000. Gosh, what? That is like literally almost 4 times more. What are they doing with these parts? Oh my gosh. This one does pack a beam combo or beam saber combo, so I did not see this portion of it, so I can't really talk to you guys about how effective this one is, but it's kind of like a rare situation that we see a ranged weapon having a melee EXQ, so that's something to kind of be excited about, I guess. In terms of that, other things to kind of notice about this one is this one is going to be a long rifle category range weapon here. So in terms of, let's say, any of the sub-slot availability is going to be a little bit limited depending on what kind of situation that you guys are looking at. But other than that, water wise, some high firepower and then transformer. So having that transformer right there. So okay. All right. Last but not least, we do have the shield parts. And how's the shield doing? Wow. So 3 parts. There's 3 parts in this overall set that is definitely 100% a must alter and must have. Now we have the back or the shield part now. So what are we doing here? So while transformer enemy all damage plus 50%. Wow. That is the second trait, or the second part that they packed exactly the same thing. This is too powerful. What are they doing? When buffed, buff EXQ effects up by 40%. Oh lord. So this one kind of completely replaces the Build Strike Galaxy Castle Shield, the Castle Shield that I have been recommending since its existence, just because of how good it is. I don't think this, like in terms of like practicality, like the percentage, yes, definitely power crap the Castle Shield, but in terms of its effectiveness, how usable this one is, I think I would definitely have a little bit of a say to that, just because transformer is just not a tech that everyone is able to benefit from. And even if you guys are able to do that, this one may or may not just be on your melee build and not for a shot build. While in terms of the Castle Shield, you can still slap it onto any build, no problem, because there's not really like a tight restrictive condition in a way. So this one, in terms of viability, I still have a little bit of a concern about that. It's just not really ready yet in a way. I don't know how long it will take before they release another one of this caliber, maybe not tied into like a niche trail like that. But that same things go for the back part, because back part, we just have not seen anything of this caliber. The only thing that we have seen is pretty much free-to-play parts. Let's say the H1 Titus backpack that is specifically for your melee build. You do have your Groundsel backpack that is also for your melee build, and then you do have your Gerber Tetra that is a fairly minimal percentage that we're talking about, 15% to the buff and then 30% to the shooting power boosting. So this one, honestly, it's just too good. But they want to go ahead and slap on a transformer, which they want to just make everyone cry. So I don't really get that part. But in terms of your overall stat for your shield, it's up there, definitely really high. Because the base shot attack is definitely way up there, but the actual defensive is there. It's definitely very noticeable, but just not really that top tier in terms of defensive stand. But overall, in terms of the Liberta here, definitely shield part a must recommend. Back part for sure, no complaints about that. Beam saber, definitely a very good option as well, because of this thing up here having a squad EXQ damage shell. Like who can ignore that portion of it, right? Other than that, I think all the other ones are just kind of suboptimal depending on what you need. Arm part definitely a good recommendation for a dual, not really like a dual type setting, just for you to be able to use it on a shot base and melee build, no problem. Head part definitely going to be catering to those people that want to tank a little bit more, just being able to survive in battle a little bit longer. But with that being said, that is going to be pretty much it in terms of the Gundam Fenice Liberta review. Definitely a very solid one, no complaints whatsoever. I guess the only things to kind of note, just as the conclusion of that, this one is going to be no link attribute, no big scale, so you are going to be losing on in that regards. But I feel like this one being a sub-slab buddy is not the worst case situation. I think it's probably going to be the best in a sense. But with that being said, that's going to be pretty much it for me, and then I will catch you guys all on the next one.